2 free throws for 60. A 60-point game for Kobe Bryant. What a performance. What an exit for number 24. You couldn't have written this. 45-50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
Step back. Walker. Cardiac Kemba does it again. UConn wins at the buzzer.
Leading by 3 as Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the Spire Podcast, where we aspire to inspire you. I'm your host Tyrese B, and we have a very special guest. My special guest has over 40 years of football coaching experience, won multiple championships at the high school and JUCO level, coached many players that went on to play for numerous professional leagues, and appeared on this year's season of Last Chance U with Laney College. Welcome Coach John Beam to the show. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm great. So you ready for this? We got to go. Here we go. Start me off now. 2 claps.
All right.
Ready?
Yes,
All right,
sir. Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
All right, man. All right, Coach, let's start from the beginning, man. Where are you from? Or where are you originally from?
So I grew up in San Diego, California, lived there most of my life. You know, I spent 4 years in Japan when I was a kid. You know, my dad was in the Navy. But, you know, kindergarten through, you know, JC, really, I was in San Diego. So that's where I grew up.
Oh, man, that's what's up. You know, I can relate, especially with my pops being in the Army. He taught us discipline from a very young age. He ran the house with an iron fist, you know, do what I say when I do it, you know, stuff like that. So I definitely can relate to that. But let's talk about your childhood, man. When did you start playing, you know, the sport of football? Did you start during that time, or did you start later on, you know, in your career?
Well, you know, you play as a kid, you know, like out in the street and all that, right? But first organized, I played Pop Warner in the 6th grade, played Pee-wees, you know? So that was a lot of fun. And then I couldn't play again until 9th grade because 7th and 8th, I got too big, right? You can relate, right? So then I played again in 9th grade. I played Bantams because we didn't start high school till the 10th grade, right? So played Bantams, and I was the quarterback. So I went from a D lineman to the quarterback. Then I played JV in varsity as a sophomore, but I was back to O-line, D-line, and the backup quarterback. And then I played O-line and D-line the rest of the way.
Okay, cool. And what high school did you play at by chance?
I'm a Kearney Comet, baby. You know, we were a beast back in the day. So, you know, we won a lot of games. In fact, I think I lost 2 games in high school, but unfortunately one was in the championship, both like playoffs and championships, you know. So my high school coach was like one of the winningest high school coaches at the time in San Diego. And my senior year was his last year. So he had been there a long, long time, right? And so my last year was his last year coaching. So I got to go out, you know, we lost in the CIF championship.
Wow, man, you only lost 2 games during that time. That's pretty impressive, you know, in my opinion. You know, with that being said, what was your favorite moment during that time in your high school football career? Was there a certain game or a moment that you had with your teammates, just being in that position? You know, what was it for you?
You know, I think, you know, just playing in the stadium obviously was really, you know, we played in San Diego Stadium, Jack Murray, Qualcomm, whatever it's called now, right? And so that was, you know, because I saw the stadium being built, right? I was there the very first game when I was a kid and got to play. So that was great. But it's really just playing with the group of people that I played with. You know what I mean? And so I grew up, I played with, you know, Samoan kids, black kids, Mexican kids, right? And, you know, we all put it together with one idea, which was to win and be successful. And, you know, our coach was hard-nosed, and we played hard-nosed football. And, you know, it was way that things happen, right? I mean, the one thing I would say, though, the difference is my coach was really hard, but he didn't really have a relationship with us off the field. Do you know what I mean? That was the assistant coaches did all that. And I know that when I wanted to coach, I wanted to change that. I wanted to be like an assistant, have that same, you know, kind of connection to my players, but still be the head coach, right? So that was good. That was one of the things I wanted to do, and I think I've done a good job of that as a head coach.
Man, you've been a great coach. And since we're talking about coaching, let's go into your career, man. I believe you got your first start in coaching in 1979 at a high school in San Diego, and you were offensive tackle coach. What was the name of that school by chance?
Sarah High School. I was the offensive line coach for 79 and 80.
Right, and I believe after that, I think you had went to Skyline. I think you coached a couple years there, right?
Yep, spent 5 years as a defensive coordinator, and I was a head coach for 22 years.
Man, 22 years, man. I believe that has to be a great experience, especially in California. You have great high school football programs out there. I can relate, especially here in Texas. We take high school football very seriously out here, and I know y'all do in California. So, how was that experience for you, being there for 22 years and being able to go against, some of the best schools in California? How was it for you?
It was really good. I mean, I lucked into a great situation at Skyline. I became the defensive coordinator when I got hired. The coach was a winning coach. Our third year there, we went undefeated 10-0. We beat De La Salle, arguably the number one team in the country year in and year out. And so I got to coach some great players. Brian Johnson played Major League Baseball. Kevin Smith played in the NFL. So it was a great situation. And then I became the head coach. And I thought I knew it all, right? And so my first year, of course, we go 5-4-1, second place in the league. But the next year we figured it out. We went 10-0. And then through the 90s, I didn't lose a game in the regular season game in the 90s, right? So for 10 years, I didn't lose any league games. So, it was good. And I coached some unbelievable young men, right? They were just phenomenal athletes, but more importantly, phenomenal young men, right? Human beings. And so that's been awesome. And I stay in touch with those guys now even, right? So it's cool. One lives right there by you, Katie. And he's an NFL official.
Wow, man, that's insane that you've been able to help so many players out and help them get to the league and help them become the player that they want to be and reach the pinnacles that they want. Some players don't get that chance to make it to the league, but you've also gotten a lot of guys education-wise, I know it's probably changed over time, but I've read somewhere that you've gotten over 100+ guys D1 schools, D1 scholarships. Is that true, or is the number fluctuate over time?
More than that now, but yeah, definitely. Because, Laney, when you're at a junior college, you might send 11 or 12 in a year. You know what I'm saying? When I was at Skyline, I was one of the top 10 guys in the country. I'd send like 4 or 5 a year, right? So it starts to add up, right? And so those are good numbers. And the thing is that as many guys I've sent to the NFL or D1, I've also got to see get successful jobs, right? Careers, become good fathers, right? Many of them didn't grow up with a father in their lives, but now they're playing it forward and being the father that they missed. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of stuff with that around that all the time.
Right. Actually, that reminds me of something that one of my old coaches used to tell us, that we don't just build great players, we build great men. Now, I don't know if you agree with that statement, but, that's a statement that has impacted me, throughout my time so far, in sports.
What it is we allow them to understand that it's there already. You know what I mean? I'm not creating something. It was already created. What I'm helping is unwrap it, especially thinking about Christmas time right now. I'm going to unwrap that present, right? So inside of them, they were already going to be unbelievable men. They just had to be unwrapped and let it blossom, right?
Yes, sir. I 100% agree with you, especially coming from you. You've been coaching, for 41 years, almost 41 years. With that being said, how do you go about coaching your kids? Is it like the same thing that you've been doing for the last 40 years, or is it a different dynamic with certain kids? The certain kids need to be taught different ways.
You know what? I think you try to keep it, you got to have some basic things that are like non-negotiable, right? But then you also got to understand that some kids come with a little bit different backgrounds or their other struggles sometimes, right? And you got to be cognizant of it. But I don't change on or don't compromise. You got to be there every day, right? You're not there, you don't play. I mean, I understand that you have a problem, but let me help you with your problem, but not during my time. You know what I mean? And so you deal with that. Or you read, like, some people need to be pushed really hard, right? You got to get in them, Other guys need to be reasoned a little bit differently, like maybe there was a young man that we had, really intelligent, went to University of Oregon, was a big time player. But he had been kind of from an abusive family, so yelling and stuff really shut him down, right? I mean, he went the opposite way. So I didn't curse at him, I didn't yell at him, but I just told him, look, this is it. Like, when I talked to him, I said, okay, I'm not playing with this. Is what I expect. You understand this. If you don't do it, you don't play. We simple and we move forward. We don't have a problem. I don't have to have an attitude. Other guys, sometimes you got to stay on them. I mean, you're constantly nagging at them, basically. Hey, you got to do this. Come on, what is wrong with you, brother? I'm offering you $50,000, right? Because that's what an education's worth, right? And so all you got to do is get to class, And when I was at the high school, I would have to walk in, history class or math class sometimes, boy, and I'd be slapping the back of their necks. Pow, you know what I mean? Like, boy, are you acting in class? They'd be in there cutting up in class. They don't see me walking in. So you already know you cutting up if you didn't see the head football coach walk into your class and all the other kids got quiet, right? Because you so busy cutting up in the back. So I'll be right on the back of their neck. Oh, man, we got it? Now I'm going to deal with you when you come back down to me for practice or whatever. Because you're wasting everybody else's time. If you want to cut up in class, you don't want to pay attention, that's fine, then leave. But don't affect other students' ability to learn and the teacher's time, right? And so that was, we had to come to that agreement real quick. Because you wouldn't waste my time on the football field. You wouldn't want other kids wasting your time on the football field. So why do you think it's okay to waste somebody else's time in that class? So we had to come to the understanding about that.
100%. That just reminded me of my coach. When we used to do bad stuff, when we used to get out of line or not do what we were supposed to do, we would come straight to practice, just run straight suicides all day, every day, 24/7 until you were tired. So yeah, it was pretty tough.
Exactly. And the thing is, running is one thing, but there's even more things that you can do, right? So this year we had some issues on Last Chance U, guys, different things. So one thing's like, yeah, we ran them, don't get me wrong. But then what I made them do is come in on a Saturday morning at 8, and we went and fed the homeless, right? And then I made them write a reflection paper about what it was their experience like out there at 8 a.m. feeding these folks, and what did you learn from it? What was, and it was interesting what they wrote, it made them help kind of rethink some of their behavior, right? Because so many people always think that life is so bad, right? They, oh, woe is me. My life is screwed up. I got this. You don't understand how bad my life is. And for some, it is true. But you go out there and you feed people living out on the street. Wow, you realize my life isn't quite that bad. There's some issue with my life, but it's not this bad, right? And so I think that's important. And then I said, but you got me trying to help you. You got Miss Sakai trying to help you. You got, Miss Carlisa trying to help you. And yet you out here, they don't have anybody. You still have a chance to get an education. You still have a chance to graduate. You have a chance to play in the NFL, whatever those dreams are, right? But you still have a chance out here right now. These folks can't even see their dream anymore. Their dream is just to, get a place warm and dry to sleep in tonight. That's all they're dreaming for. So we had to, trying to change that up a little bit.
Man, that's actually a great idea. I've never had to do anything like that. And honestly, with you saying that, that's not even a punishment. It's more like you said, it's a learning experience. Just being around people. I've done community service where I've helped people, either Salvation Army or, giving back to the homeless, or even helping people with, homeless people getting haircuts and stuff like that. So hopefully a lot of coaches, listen to this and they try to implement that, in their repertoire as well.
Well, I think it's just, it just helps them reflect a little bit, right? Because, think about it. In Texas, I know Texas football is king, right? And if you're a good football player, you get given so much admiration and applause and, maybe just free, but whatever, right? You put on a pedestal. Well, maybe take your ass off the pedestal and see what other people are doing, and maybe you won't take it for granted, right? And that's what it's about, and I think is you got to give back, right? I mean, one of the things at Skyline, when my kids would go to the NFL, they come back, oh, coach, I'm going to do this. No, you don't need to do any of that. What I need you to do is give back to the next kid so that he can help, right? Help them, call them, maybe give them an opportunity. Like we had some kids all of a sudden had these big feet, 16s, right? So I had Marvell was playing in the NFL. They couldn't find no cleats for 16. And when they did, they were so expensive, right? So he reached out to his Nike rep and got, like 3 or 4 pairs of 16 so we could have it to this kid. So he had cleats for the whole time he was there. Something just simple, generous like that. That makes a lot, because you can't play if you ain't got no shoes, right? No cleats. And something that's simple, Or the first time when I was at Laney and we earned won our league and won the bowl game, shit, he's got a Super Bowl ring. He bought us rings. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, why not? And so, those kids now have a memory, that they can treasure.
That's awesome, man. Being able to see some of your former guys coming back and helping out the community is, what you preach and what you taught them from the beginning. So for them to do that and be able to give back to the community like you told them is pretty cool. But like I said, it all comes from you. It all originates from you. So let's talk about your help with the community. I know you've done a lot of stuff with the Oakland Raiders, and you've done a lot of stuff for the city of Oakland and where the community where you coach at. So what have you done for the community, and what else are you planning to do for the community?
Well, I think, the biggest thing is that, for 20 plus years I worked for the NFL, and we did this thing called junior player development. So we brought football to the inner city, right? And it morphed in different things. I mean, one time we were dealing with little kids, right? And we were bringing out there and we'd be at these parks in the hoods, you know what I mean? In the projects. And, I drive up in my Suburban like I was Santa Claus, in July, open up, I got t-shirts and footballs for the kids, right? Just to give, but we taught them the basics of football. And then we morphed into later was to actually in the wintertime, we would run a program, 3 nights a week for 2 hours free to every kid in Oakland if they signed up. And we, football, we gave them pads. And we taught them the skills of football, but actually in pads, right? So every kid learned how to play every position. So big guy like you, right? First thing, oh, you must be a lineman. Now you got to play quarterback, wide receiver, DB. You rotated it. Everybody, it was based on rotating, so we broke them up in groups, small, mediums, and bigs, but they were all in the group. So this like the bigs were at quarterback, the mediums were at the skill receivers or whatever, and the littles were at linemen. But the next week we would flip it and you'd be at line or whatever. But everybody got to do everything different. And at the same time, we taught life skills. We taught every week, every practice, every week, we had a life skill. We had a theme, responsibility. And then we asked them to share with us what they did was a smart move or what they did to show them their responsibility. Hey, simple as I took the garbage out for my mom. That's my job, right? Or I brought the cans in. We weren't asking for groundbreaking things for these young folks, right? But what it was to start to think about these life skills, right, that can translate. And so, you think about it as we as coaches have an unbelievable opportunity to shape young people's lives because you might be in that class for 50 minutes, but you're on the field with us for 2 hours. So, we have that chance to start to shape those type of responses, right? So that's what we were doing.
Actually, that's pretty unique. That's something new to me. I've never been to a camp where they teach us stuff like that, but that's solid that not only that you're teaching the youth about the game, but giving them food for thought at the same time that they can use later on in life to help their family members or themselves as well. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I think it's exactly right. That sometimes it's not being taught at home for whatever reason, right? Maybe, if you come home and you've been working so hard all day and then you're trying to, take care of your kids, get them started, you forget sometimes you're tired and you don't have the patience, right? So that's where someone like myself can come in and just help you with that. And then the kid comes home, the young man, the young boy comes home, the young daughter, girl comes home and says, hey, look what I learned today. And we gave them wristbands, right? And you know how you have the plays on your wristband, right? Well, ours had
right.
the life skill in the wristband. So they got to carry the wristband and, it had the life skill. So kids got to wear it. They wore it around school, wore it around their neighborhood. Again, it was a great way to reinforce those things.
Okay. In addition to that, is there like a go-to inspirational or motivational quote that you use at the end of your camps to bring it on home? Or like a message that you're trying to send to the kids or the youth that they could take with them after they leave?
I mean, one of the things I think you hear me say in the show a lot is that, I'm always believing you so you can believe in yourself, right? And so a lot of times kids get beat up at home or in the neighborhood or whatever, and they lose faith in themselves. So, you got to start believing in yourself before you can project and move forward, right? That's number one. So, being able to believe in yourself, right? Because I'm going to believe in you. The other thing is, hey, hard work pays off. There's a dividend there, right? You're making a deposit every day. And so, and I think the other thing is, what does accountability mean, right? What does that mean? Who are you accountable? Well, first you gotta be accountable to yourself, right? then you can be accountable to your family and friends or whatever. The other thing is, I think, is that we got to tell everybody is this, right? We're all leaders. The difference sometimes, though, is that, right, you may only be able to lead yourself, but at least you're leading somebody. So lead with yourself. Don't be a follower, right? And so, we look at it. How many times have you heard while you're growing up, oh, peer pressure, he's got peer pressure, right? Well, to me, peer pressure doesn't have to be negative. Peer pressure can be positive. So if all your friends, right, were in class, would you go cut class and hang out by yourself? Or would you hang out with all your friends?
No, I probably will go to class, right?
Exactly. So if all your friends say, hey, we're going to make an effort to go to class today, you come with them, right? That starts that, right? And those are simple things. Hey, then, what I found is that in Oakland, my community, especially when I'm dealing with young black men, right? Young black men are competitive as hell, right? Okay. So we started putting our grades out in front of everybody, right? So do you want to be that guy with that 2.0 or that 1.83 or that 1.5? Because we're going to tell everybody your grades. And the guys up here at 4.0, 3.5, 3.3, guess what? They got lunch from me. I bought them lunch. Nice lunch, cheesesteak sandwich, pizza, whatever, right? All of a sudden, you want to be the competitive guy because no one says, oh, I want to be the third best basketball player or the fifth best football player.
True.
But in math class, you were okay hanging out at the back, laughing that you got a D. Think about that, right? And here's the other thing, right? This is one thing, and I did this with a young man whose dad played for me, right? Dad played for me, went on to an Ivy League school, graduated from Ivy League school. Dad was, very, very successful in business, right? Doing like $500 million deals, right?
That's the same.
Yeah, I want you to think about that for him. So his son had everything, right? But was struggling in school, right? And he got C's and stuff. So, Dad said, man, coach, can you help me? I said, yeah. So I told the kid, I said, you know what? Tell me what an A means. He said, well, that means, you're the smartest kid in class. I said, all right. What does F mean? He said, well, that means you're the dumbest kid in class. I go, no, it doesn't. He goes, what do you mean? I go, the F guy, he's the best at not doing shit. He's the best at not doing anything. He ain't even trying to come to class. The guy that I don't like, the guy that's wasting everybody's time is the guy that gets a C because he's half in and half out. You want to be that messed up kid and be the best, the A of an F, right? By not coming to class or not doing your homework, but you do it sometimes. You want to be the guy that's getting an A because you do it sometimes, but really you do nothing. So the guy he got an F, he really is not doing, he's really partying. He's hanging out at home. He's getting all the chicks, whatever, right? Something's going on.
Right.
But you're doing nothing. DC. So either be all in or all out. Because an A and an F to me are the same. He's the best at doing nothing, and he's the best at doing everything. But right now, you're in the middle. You're the worst of both. And so all of a sudden, he got grades. He got 4.0. You know what I mean? But it's just changing the mindset to think about that for a minute. And so I think that's really important. We limit ourselves, right? And so when I was growing up, my dad said, you need to get a 3.0 so you want to play sports. Okay. I got a 3.0. I didn't get no higher, no lower. My dad would have said I need a 4.0 or 3.0. I bet you I'd have got that. But, you get a 3.0, you're going to get a car. Okay, I got a 3.0. I get 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's. Well, that didn't really help me. Say do the best you can, right? Don't put a limitation, right? We limit ourselves. So don't ever limit these young people, right? If we're going to aspire that they can do they can be anything they want, but let's help them, show them how to do that. Let's make sure we open those doors to them.
Exactly, 100%. That's how it's supposed to be. I remember when I grew up, I used to bring grades home. I used to tell my parents I got B's and C's, and they would be okay with it, but they knew I could do so much more in my classes. So that's the goal, to push yourself into doing the best you could possibly can so you can reach the goals that you actually want. Hey, y'all. Thank you for listening to the first part of this episode. If you would like to finish our episode, please go to our website, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor by clicking the links down below. If you are new as well, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. Until next time, stay safe and stay inspired.